Commission. Today is Thursday, April 11th, 2013, 7:30 p.m. And I'd like to start with the adoption of agenda. Any changes to be made?
Can we move item E?
No.
Can we move item E down into Commissioner Wright?
You want to move the approval of draft?
No, I'm so sorry. Item D.
Item D, okay, no problem. Anybody has any objection to that?
No.
Okay. Anything else? Want to make changes to?
No.
Okay, so may I see the...
I move that we accept the regular meeting of Thursday, April 11th at 7:30 at Brisbane City Hall.
Okay, we have the second for the second from Ms. Karen Cunningham. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the agenda is adopted with one change. Item D will be before item J. Okay. Next is the approval of draft action minutes of December 13th, 2012. Anyone has any changes to be made to this, or?
I do not.
We do not. Nobody has any change, so...
I'll make a motion to adopt the...
Okay, we have a motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Oral communication at this time, anyone, we receive many of them here, would like to speak anything before any issues that are not on the agenda tonight. I don't see any hands, so we'll move on to item number G, written communications. I got some stuff here, and interesting to note that one of the items was the renewable energy plan for the Baylands. The meeting was on March 19th, and we got it today.
I didn't see that.
This one here. So it's about 2 or 3 weeks old after the meeting. So I don't know what happened, why it was delayed, but it's here in our package. And then we have some miscellaneous stuff.
I have one for April 16th.
The one I have is the March 19th.
This is the one.
That's the one.
This must be wrong. So this is the March 16th. This is by the ecology plan expansions in the Baylands. Is there any possible way Planning Commission can hear a little bit about the ecology plans for this area? We heard several different things, but don't know what's going on. At one point, I heard that they were going to move into the southern part of their facility, and they were going to build some kind of a recycling plant, and I don't know what happened to that. So this is regarding that, or what?
I'm not sure what the topic of that presentation is, but on the forthcoming EIR, one of the alternatives will be studying the expansion of the ecology facility southerly, as you've just described. So that is one of the alternatives that's being studied in the forthcoming environmental impact report.
Okay. So it's related to the environmental impact report, but we don't know whether they are planning to move or any kind of negotiation underway for this particular expansion.
Well, I mean, again, for anything, the first step in the process is to have an environmental document before any kind of project can go forward. So, we look at the EIR as being kind of the first step in the formal process, and then it'll move forward as part of that.
So there is no update on what the status is as to what they're going to do, whether they're going to move there or not. Is
nothing beyond what's in the project description for the forthcoming EIR. There's no new information at this point.
Okay, the other issue is, I will, since it's related to this and it's within the written communications, I just heard the other day that the Hunter, maybe today, that Hunters Point project I think is on hold or pretty much gone because the negotiation with the Chinese investors didn't work out.
I read that today as well. I haven't heard about it other than what I read in the paper today, but yeah, their investment partner, that deal fell apart financially. So at this point, we're not aware if there's any investor that's going to back that project.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that is there are several people that ask me how come the Planning Commission does not get into the EIR and other stuff related to the Hunters Point development, because it is going to affect us also in terms of the traffic. So at this point, I think the Hunters Point EIR, is it in works or what?
It's been certified. It was probably certified 3 years ago. 2 to 3 years ago, the project's been approved by the city of San Francisco. So whether or not I don't know how long their entitlements, will they expire, or they have a development agreement, or the entitlement's good indefinitely. I'm not familiar with the terms of their entitlement with San Francisco, but there's no sort of open, the planning process in San Francisco is completed. The project's approved as of now, unless it gets changed, and then they'd have to reopen the public process or the hearing process. But
did we submit any comments from the city of Brisbane?
Yes, there were a number of comments submitted specific to the traffic impacts of the project.
Can we see the copy of that, or maybe in the next meeting, if you
Sure,
bring it?
we can make it available.
All the members of the commission aware of what's going on in the surrounding area? Sure. Because that will be helpful when we review the Baylands EIR. You guys agree with that? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay. So make sure that we have that and before we jump into the Baylands EIR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I've moved on to the items initiated by staff, and are there any items that you want to bring it up before us?
I don't have anything. I guess I might let Ken, after he does his other presentation, I might have him talk a little bit about the green building ordinance process that he's been engaged in with the subcommittee. It's been dark with the subcommittee. He was doing some due diligence, and then maybe he wants to give a quick report on what what he's found out from other parties, sort of reaction to some of the proposed changes. So you might want to offer that up.
Great.
The floor is yours.
So shall we start with that, or with the other item that at the commission's pleasure? So
You mean item?
green building ordinance, or talking about the housing element sites first?
It's your choice.
All right.
Why don't we get the green building ordinance over with?
Green building ordinance will be the,
Yeah.
and the other one may be related to the next.
So the green building ordinance, we left off in December with the subcommittee and essentially had agreement over the thresholds and the basic parameters for the ordinance. Staff then has taken that to the city engineer, city attorney who's looking at that, as well as sent pertinent parts of that, not the whole ordinance, but pertinent parts to certain contractors and real estate developer folks within Brisbane community to get their feedback on. And this was something that the subcommittee had asked for, to specifically because we are essentially, the subcommittee wanted to lower the thresholds down to from what's 20 housing units where the green building ordinance would apply down to single-family homes. And so there's quite a reduction in the threshold, as well as for reductions in the thresholds for commercial and mixed-use developments. So we've been getting feedback back actually from those a few people within that community, and there have been some concerns expressed about especially the single-family residents and the the impacts, financial impacts that would have on people developing those properties, and concerns essentially over whether that would put a halt or brakes on new development occurring within Brisbane. So essentially, the next steps were to either bring it back to the subcommittee or to bring it to Planning Commission and to Open Space and Ecology at the same time, and then it would go on to City Council. And we're looking at the comments currently, and we may actually bring that back to subcommittee before we bring it on to Planning Commission. That's how it's looking. I think the concerns were, I think we have enough there that it'd be worthwhile to do that. So.
Good.
Okay, my comment on that cost regarding any time you want to make a change to any kind of codes, there will be some cost associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that should be a determining factor, because the thing is, otherwise we cannot make any progress if we keep continuing trying to balance the cost versus the benefits and all that. But we have to be very, cognizant about the fact that we are facing the problems with the, having to have the design that will reduce will reduce the carbon emission footprints and all that. So we have to be kind of aggressive and make sure that we, as a citizens, not as a citizen, as well as the enforcer of the regulations, like the city engineers and plannings, we have to make sure that we always try to be in a position where we're trying to make our position known as to where we stand in terms of the improving the quality of life. And I think it's very important that message is carried through, because I remember when way back in about 4 years ago, when we were looking at some of the projects in the area here. There was one project where we were talking about the solar energy. At least 10% or 30% of the energy should come from the solar panels. And very first concern was cost. And that's always the case. But unfortunately, at that time, my fellow commissioners voted. I was in favor of having the solar panels installed, and at least 30% of the energy should come from the solar. But I was voted out. So I'm going to make sure that with the green building, I'd like you to be more aggressive and make sure that our concerns, and I guess you all share the same concerns, the same position, that there will be a cost increase, but I don't know how much and how much is going to affect the people. And also you have to look at the long-term benefit out of that too, because your energy cost and everything else might balance whatever the extra cost up front. So I think it will be a worthwhile thing to make a point at these meetings that the Planning Commission, myself and I don't know the others, we feel that we should go with the green building as much as we can, ordinance to be applied all the way to the single-family zones.
All two of the members of the subcommittee are here and hear you, and we'll make sure that your message is brought back to the subcommittee.
Yeah, if you don't follow the aggressively, then I think it's going to be the same thing over and over again. I think developers always come up with this. The first thing they say is, it's going to cost me more. Seismic retrofit, same thing, it's going to cost me more. But we need those things, and we need to work on that. So anyhow, thanks for the update.
My pleasure.
And you guys want to add anything on that, since you are the main part of the
No, but we'll certainly take that back to our next meeting, which, do we have, I know we don't have a date.
We don't have a schedule yet, so I'll put an email out to the subcommittee, and we'll set up a date here in fairly short order.
Is there anything else you want to add with what you learned in those meetings and your
I mean, everything comes
position?
back to, you're right, everything comes back to, we don't want to spend any more money.
Right.
We want to put in the minimal we can to do our job. That's probably not going to be the case here, because we have a green building ordinance that's going to go into effect at some point in the future. However, being reasonable is always
Yes.
a good thing, not being completely out in left field. I know there are some people who would like to say, well, stick it to the people who can afford to pay. I don't hold that same thought process. I think that we need to be very reasonable, but we need to be progressive.
Yes.
And some of these things, while they might seem, and we've talked about this just in general about the things we're talking about in other parts of the Planning Commission, things that might initially seem that there is a bigger expense up front. When we do an amortization over 3, 5, 10, 15 years, they end up over a certain period of time, whether it's 3, 5, 10 years, saving a lot of money, saving energy, etc. So we have to look at that. One of the things that I am concerned about is the cost of the permits in Brisbane to become greener. That will be something that we will probably talk about. Our solar applications are still the most expensive in the country.
I would disagree with that on single-family installations. The fees were reduced drastically about 3 years ago. So you maybe were based on some previous, before the fees were adjusted. I think that probably might have been a more accurate assessment. But.
Thank you. So we have to go in this direction. We have to be reasonable about moving in this direction, and we have to have, from my perspective, some flexibility at every level, whatever that really means. But there's nothing in concrete. But there you have it.
Yeah, it's very important that the dialogues that we started, so that we can come up with some kind of a compromise position where it will be difficult to everybody to be pleased with whatever you're doing, but at least you can come up with a position where majority of them say that this is not a bad idea.
Right. Well, and this science is changing very, very rapidly. The solar panels are changing at lightning speed on a daily basis. The price for the solar panels is coming down, but there seems like there's more choices, and there's confusion around, which company is still going to be around in 10 years to service the solar panel. There's a lot of different things that are going on here, so I don't know those answers, and I don't think even if we all put our collective hats on, it's like solar energy, yes, it's fantastic, but how do we choose where we go with this? Where's the safety relative to making recommendations to people who are applying to put solar on their roof? Is this company going to be around? Is it reputable? I remember several years ago in a CERT class with the fire department, and they hated the idea of solar panels because at that time, the solar panels, if there was a fire in the house, they couldn't get into the roof because they'd be electrocuted. So there's so many things relative to that, and I don't for a minute that I have a lot of knowledge about it. And there's a lot of different things going on with it, but yes, we have to be progressive. Yes, we have to move forward. I'm not sure what that looks like.
I think that the issue that brought up there, it's already addressed in the solar panel installation. I think the fire departments require a certain percentage of the roof to be accessible so that they can get in. So, in the initial phase, that was not the case. So that's very true. And also the other parts of the energy conservation of insulation and type of materials you use and all of that plays a big role. And the thing that really puzzled me, why nobody is addressing the fact that if you're trying to get a loan for rebuilding your home, why can't the banks be convinced to add additional cost involved in a loan package so that the people can, use that extra money to improve their house and make it more green. And a lot of banks still are not behind that, and I think the federal government can talk about that, but nothing has been done in that regard.
I'll just point out, too, I think one of the concerns that was raised is maybe not so much in terms of the idea of green building is good or that, there's a benefit, but there were certain concerns raised about procedural issues, like if you have to get an outside party to certify and that creates a cost, and I think those are some of the, when you start ratcheting down who you impose the standard on, I think those are the issues that are probably more sensitive on the single-family type projects than a larger project. And I recall several comments that came up from parties, and so I think it'll be a good discussion for the subcommittee to wade through some of maybe the procedural issues of how you achieve this and verify.
Shouldn't that be a part of the plan checking? It should be the same people who are doing the plan checking can do that too. And the plan checking, the people who check the plans, like the city has a contract with the contractor who does all the plan checking for the city, so it should be part of that. And I don't think it should be that much additional cost, because the standards are not that magic. I mean, that stuff is around for a long time. And all we're doing is changing from 2-inch to 4-inch thickness. What's the difference?
Well, this wasn't actually something that had anything to do with the city. This was, I think, a state law that if you were going to install solar panels, you had to be certified by this particular organization. That we questioned the validity of how they were doing it relative to just gouging people for money. So whether it was a single-family home or a multi-building, they all had to be hired by these special certified people who went through X certification, paid this money to a particular organization that then dictated who could install the solar panels. And we questioned that.
That's a bureaucracy again.
Right. It's like,
there's not much you can do about that. Because the thing is, anytime the state is involved in giving the rebates and all that, they always have this caveat that
that was what we were talking about.
Their contractors, But I think there is a waiver on that part also. I think that if you have the licensed contractor or licensed engineer, then
not at the time we were discussing it.
Really?
That wasn't the case.
So. But that's something that the cities should be sending the messages to the state regulators that this is what's going to cause problems. If you want us to be involved in this aspect of that, then we need your help. So it's very important that kind of suggestion should come from the committee also.
Well, we did that, and I mean it goes back to the gold, platinum certification, LEED certification stuff too, and how, initially 10, 12 years ago when this all came out, it all sounded great, and now it's just a money-making situation in part for certain groups. Yeah,
it's like a UBC code when they first came, Uniform Building Code. Everybody says it's going to cost extra, blah, 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 and now it is the standard. Everybody has to use that, so hopefully we will have better luck with that. But along the same topic, I'd like to find out about the planned review program, that automated program that Doug Ryder was going to implement. Was that implemented, and what's the status of that? We'd like him to come back again and give us a little brief update on that. And also, I don't know whether some of the planning commissioners were there when he came one time and make the presentation here, so it may not be a bad idea. Do you remember that? Yes.
I remember.
He was in the process of implementing that, and I'd just like to find out exactly the final product, and also
online application.
Yeah, online application and all that, and he has a computer program that he does all that with that. So I'd like to find out what's the public perspective on that. These people applying the homeowners, they run into any difficulty, or would that make their life simpler for them, or what? So that would not be a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, the short answer is that program is being implemented, and I'll talk to Ken, is pretty involved in it, and also the permit technician, Trish Taylor, actually is probably the person who does most of the actual processing. Doug's company is the one who licenses the product and prepared it and all, but probably Trish would be the best person to give some sense of the user experience and how that's working out. But yeah, I'll be glad to kind of maybe we can do a quick demo at the beginning of a meeting sometime, or we can try to schedule something.
Not a bad idea to educate ourselves, educated to make sure that the program being implemented is indeed helping the citizens. Okay, next topic for you.
Yes, so the next topic items initiated by the Commission is the discussion of the housing element sites designated for rezoning. And during the last couple of Planning Commission meetings, the Commission expressed concerns over the suitability of the southern portion of Southwest Bayshore to rezone to high-density housing. And a couple of different areas have been brought up as potential alternatives. One is the VWR site, or the southeast Bayshore, just across Bayshore Boulevard from Southwest, which is largely vacated now by VWR. The other is the sites directly behind the post office within Crocker Park, which were first visited a couple of years back with the housing element. And two of the three sites that are highlighted in your staff report were actually recommended by the Planning Commission to City Council as the sites to select. So essentially at this time what staff is recommending is that the Commission discuss if you would like to send forward a request to City Council to have them direct the Planning Commission to revisit the suitable sites. So the intent is not to get into detail tonight. We haven't done a public notice for that, so we'd want to provide opportunity for the community to come and comment on whatever sites are up for discussion. But I put some detail in here so you can get kind of a quick look at what those sites were and whether the Planning Commission would like to send that as a request to City Council formally. So with that, I open it up for your questions or your discussion.
What I'd like to see is the potential problems or hazard associated with these sites. I heard, in fact,
I'm sorry, which sites are you speaking of?
I'm talking about VWR. There were some concerns about the hazardous materials over there. And so what I'd like to see is before you put it on the agenda for the public hearing, let the Planning Commission review some of the issues associated with these sites so that we may be a little bit more educated when it comes for the public discussion.
What I might suggest maybe is, I think that's a very good point, and obviously when you are kind of doing your due diligence on any sites that you want to entertain, that's all very good information. But what we're looking for before anybody spends a lot of time on alternative sites is to have some direction from the council that they're interested in even pursuing alternative sites. Because for the commission to spend a lot of time or us doing due diligence without the council having endorsed the idea of at least looking at these alternative sites, again, procedurally we can have the council reauthorize the commission to basically reopen the whole issue, and then we can talk about what kind of information you would like as part of that process.
Let me finish my thought, train of thought. My position here is that the Planning Commission is, and it's very clear that all of us are very much interested in trying to see if any of these two sites can be developed. And so if you don't want any further discussion on that, then all we can suggest is maybe write a letter to the council saying that the planning commission is really like to see these two sites be considered as an alternate, and at that point then we can start the discussion. But I think that maybe I may even suggest that we should take a vote on that on the commission level to see if all of us agree that these two sites will make a good alternate site.
Can I choose
Yeah, go ahead.
what you're talking about?
The one, the VWR, and the other one was the one in the park behind the post office.
Behind the post office, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what I feel is that I'm very uncomfortable with the high density that's going to be on Bay Shore. I feel that there is not going to be enough public space. And so what I'd like to do is for the commission to outline some of our hesitation about Bay Shore Boulevard as being an ideal site for this density housing, which and then move on to suggest these two alternatives and perhaps even look at some other ideas. And that would be what I would propose.
And that would be included in the letter, right? That would be included in the letter to present to the council, which makes sense.
We could present them with why we feel this site perhaps is not a good site, because there really will be a high density. It will be kind of going up the hill, and then suggest that these are two alternatives, and could we please reopen the issue, move forward to look at these two places, and that's what I would like to do.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good approach too. So that but we have to come up with the reasons why, and I think we already discussed that.
Well, I didn't, and I'd like to try my 2 cents on this one. That particular property on Southwest Bay Shore is a very steep slope. It is directly out under the traffic. There is no room there for anything. It is isolated from Brisbane with nothing around it relative to the people who might be living in this high-density area. There will be no play areas. There will be, what do you do with your kids? Keep them inside all day long? I don't know. It just doesn't look right to me for many, many reasons. High slope up the mountain, we'd end up with another couple of buildings that look like the ones down on South City on the corner. So that particular site just, I know why it was chosen in the first place, but when you think about putting people in there and their families and their children, and they're completely isolated from everything else. There's not even a play area. If, and this is just saying if, the site across the street at VWR was chosen, there's play areas. There's at least, even with that monstrosity of a building that's down there, it's still got some sense of feeling like you're not, I just feel that site across the street in that mountain would make people completely isolated, stuck inside their condos with nowhere to go. So, plus we're digging in the side of a hill, and it just doesn't look right.
There's a lot of safety issues with traffic issues and all that.
A lot of safety issues. A lot of safety issues, and I think also that we're not saying that we shouldn't have any building for housing on Bay Shore Boulevard, but to have such a high density, and it wouldn't be, it would just be for building for housing, and I just feel that I'd rather have more of a community. So I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
No, I fully agree with that, and I don't know how the commissioners same thing.
Yes.
Do you want to add anything else to that?
I feel like the area that's designated right now, I agree with what's been said, and my major concern is the fact that when families or young professionals move in there, they will be segregated from the rest of the community. There is no access to the rest of the area. The community that exists now is on the other side. And so, to put them there is just sort of like to provide housing without a sense of belonging, and that's a huge concern for me.
And also, my biggest concern is the safety. I think the traffic there is, and it's such a bad location there has been turned. So with that, and Mr. Reinhardt?
Yeah, I actually agree with the concerns about safety and, based on our discussion last meeting, but also I feel like there's an opportunity on the east side, at the DWR site, to potentially have a different kind of housing, a work-live space that is more of a satellite, but then can connect, and looking at good solutions to connect back to, Old Town Brisbane or the core of Brisbane. I think we are all in strong favor of not doing that on the west side because of the things that we all just said. But I do think there's a good opportunity to look at the VWR site, and at least I strongly request that the City Council does consider that one as one of the alternative sites.
Okay, so what I suggest is we'll take a vote on that, and then we will request or suggest the staff to go ahead and draft up a letter for the chairman's signature. In fact, what I like to do is have a letter with all the commissioners' signature on that.
Can I say something before we go? From my recollection, the VWR site is industrial at this point. We would have to rezone that particular site to industrial. How would we rezone that if it was to become residential?
I'm sorry, we're talking about the VWR?
The VWR. It's
It would have to
industrial
be-
right now. So how do we rezone that?
It will be rezoned basically to the same kind of housing standards, 20 units to the acre. We have to do some sort of form, I wouldn't say it's form-based, but something that would, to meet the state threshold, to count these units as low mod, there needs to be a non-discretionary design review sort of process. So we'd have to develop performance standards or development standards in with that zone as part of that rezoning the property.
Would it be commercial residential?
That is supposed to be straight residential there. I mean, I believe that's the current requirement across the street. No, across the street. If we were talking about substituting what's already we're obligated to do on the west side, that site was designated for residential only. Again, there's a limitation in state law in terms of how much, if you're going to redesignate or designate sites for low mod housing, there's only a certain percentage that can be in a mixed-use format, for good or for bad. That's again a state law requirement. That's not to say that if you could achieve enough density on a portion of the site, you could do maybe not more of a vertical mixed use. If you could devote a certain portion of the site for residential and another portion of it for a different land use. If the numbers worked out, we'd have to look at the numbers. Yeah.
So, just so I'm being clear here, so if that was redesignated, it would be an evaluation upgrade to that property, correct?
I would think, obviously, the property owner would be involved in that process. I would expect that most people would consider residential zoning on the peninsula to be an upgrade over low-scale industrial. I'd make the argument that residential market is probably more solid than office. For example, if they wanted to go in with something more of an office, there's a lot of unoccupied office on this end of the peninsula.
Around the corner.
Exactly, plenty of it.
We got a couple of them now.
Right.
Exactly.
I just wanted to publicly clarify that.
I think the mixed use, if you have the mixed use with certain density that you have a more residential units up above or whatever the combination you can work. Like, I think they've done a very nice job in South City near the Trader Joe's and that area. There, it's a mixed use, but there's a lot of residential units there too. So something like that will make a lot of sense here, rather than building something in such a steep site with that many homes.
It isolates whoever's there. I mean, there's nothing around them they can do.
So what I say is I propose a vote on this, and what we like to do is we send, like the item is that we want to send a letter to the City Council to reconsider the zoning of the this, what's the name of this area, South Bay Shore?
Yes, the Southwest Bay Shore.
Southwest Bay Shore.
Sub-area.
Then we have to suggest as to what we're going to do with that, right?
No, you can leave it as the existing zoning and just
So we
find a
can say that
replacement.
we like to explore the other two sites as an alternate to
Yes.
to this. So do we have the vote on that?
How about in favor?
I vote in favor of it.
I vote in favor.
Somebody has to second that. Okay, so all in favor is aye. So we all agree that we should send a strong message to the city council that we like to see some kind of studies being done with these other two alternate sites.
Great, thank you. For the record, who was the second on
The
that?
second was,
I'll second it.
yeah,
Okay.
Ms. Doe is the second, okay? And if you like, you can send us a copy of the letter before it goes out, so if anybody else has,
Yeah.
if anybody else has any other extra comment to add to that, then we can do that. And we can all sign. So I think it will send a strong message to the council that we are serious about that.
Right.
And then we will tackle whether there is hazardous material there or whatever. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we can get to that.
Can you bring up everything?
Yeah, anything else you want to add to that?
Yes, I would like to, no, I wouldn't like to add anything else. I'd like to also bring up another issue.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to know how Commissioner Doe, a bit about the training and what she learned, and if she saw anything of new trends. And
We were actually just talking about that. I would love to share. Is it okay if I do at the next meeting? Because what I would like to do is to actually go back and consolidate the information and bring it back and present it in a way that actually is categorized so that it makes sense and it kind of plugs into what we're doing now. Would that be okay?
that would be great.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Did you enjoy it?
It was great. I would highly recommend it. I learned a lot.
Okay, Ken, can you put this in the next agenda item as under the commission matters? So that anybody else wants to add anything else to the commission items for the next meeting? Anything?
My annually scheduled I will not be here meeting. It's a global training convention for my company.
Okay.
Been on the books. I gave notice last November that I would not be at the next meeting.
Okay, no problem.
Have a good time. Thanks.
Okay.
If it-
So, anybody else wants to add anything for the next agenda? Here's your chance. No? Okay, so now we to at the last item of the meeting, and second to last, which is the selection of officers. And last year I held on because I thought that we're going to have the EIR for the Baylands, and that's been another year passed by and nothing has happened. And I don't want to be a lifetime chairman.
Do we have a date yet?
So,
Do we know when the EIR is coming out?
so what I like to do is entertain the suggestions or nominations from the commission as to who should be the next chairman for this commission. So, Ms. Cunningham?
I nominate Carolyn Parker as the next chair of the Planning Commission.
Okay.
I second that.
Second that? Okay, and any discussion on those?
No.
No?
I suppose I'm ready at this point. Last year, I felt we needed more training.
Okay. Well, don't worry, we are all here, we can help you.
I feel that
no problem. So we'll take a vote to, so we have a motion to have the,
A motion to have Carolyn to be the next chair of the Planning Commission.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Hang on.
If I could, just procedurally, you want to go ahead and formally close the nomination, make sure there's no other alternative nomination?
Okay, we will close the nomination and take the vote. So we have the motion and the second, from Ms. Doe, and all in favor?
Aye.
Favor, so you are the next chairperson. Get ready for that.
I hope I can step up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I really want to say that I feel that our chairman Munir really came in and helped train us. I felt that there were four of us who were very green, just starting, and and I appreciate that you stuck with us, and I felt that you were invaluable in helping us really. I had been here a couple of years, but not really that many years, and I felt that what I needed to know was considerable. So I felt very comfortable with you assuming the chairman position, and I feel that you have done an excellent job.
Thank you
I feel that you've really, really trained us well.
Thank you so much.
And
I'd like to echo that and also add that just because now that you've stepped down, we don't expect you to speak any less.
No,
Agreed.
I bought a whole roll of duct tape.
Many years of history have
Yeah.
That's very useful.
And before we adjourn, we still have to appoint the vice chair.
Right.
And who is going to be the vice chair here?
I'd like to nominate Karen Cunningham.
Karen Cunningham.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you do us the honor?
Sure, if you guys want me.
Okay.
We want you.
Go along with that.
So is there any other nomination for the vice chair?
Are we closing
Vice
the
chair,
nomination?
we're closing the nomination.
Who is the second on that? I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
We second that, all in favor? Aye. So congratulations.
Okay.
So we can say that the women will run the show now, which is very good. I think
We like that.
I like that because I think it's about time that we recognize their ability, and I think the world is changing. So it's very good. But before we adjourn the meeting, I'd like to thank all of you for being so cooperative with me. Many times I made mistakes and you corrected that. And in fact, nobody is perfect, and I was never a perfect chairperson, but I appreciate your patience, and I learned a lot from you all too. It's a constant learning process here, and I'm really thankful for all the cooperation, all the help, and all the criticism I got.
Well, feel free to criticize.
Yeah, feel free to criticize. Well, it was my pleasure, and I think we all get along very well, and it's a very good commission. And I think we will all have a very good discussion when it comes to the EIR for the Baylands. And even though I said I bought the roll of duct tape, but I'm going to make sure that I always forget at home, and I give the excuse that I'm getting old now. I didn't remember. So you will still hear from me. Anyhow, thank you so much. And again, the last item before I adjourn and take the...
I have a couple of things I want to say.
Go ahead.
Do you want to go first? No? I have a couple of things I would just like to mention relative to the community. The first one is my heart goes out to the people in Brisbane today whose house burned. So
That's my neighbor.
anything we can do, anything I can possibly do to be of assistance, I would do. I'm really, really sad to hear that. Yeah, not so grand. The second thing is, on a more practical level, our community development director is in possession of a small glass jar that I handed him today. This is the
That's small.
second very, very large tick that we have taken off my border collie in as many days. She is now on antibiotics for Lyme disease prevention. I just want to put it out to the community. Please check your animals. My dog has not been out of Brisbane. This is an enormous tick that was on her this afternoon. Very kind of scary. It's really early in the season.
Wow.
I don't know if it's going to be on John's desk, but it's in alcohol if people need to come down to the studio to see what one of these huge animals looks like. It's
you.
really, really
Thank you.
scary because these ticks could be on your children
Yes.
and us as well. So if you want to come look at it, it's somewhere in the city. And do watch your dogs. Do feel for any big soft lumps. They're not great. It was disgusting.
Is it safe to walk on the,
No, you should stay inside all day long.
Don't go to the phone.
I just,
no, on the trails?
we had an early spring. We've had a lot of warm weather. We've got a lot of,
It's true.
we've had a lot of rain. This season is a lot different to the last two seasons we've had. I'm not an environmental weather person, but something is different, and that is huge.
Yeah.
That's all.
My understanding, and I don't know if either of you were at the meeting, we had someone from, I can't remember his name. Oh, what was his name? I forget.
Was that Bob?
Bob.
Mhm.
I can't remember his name. That's ridiculous.
From the vector control.
Yeah, and he said that the ticks on San Bruno Mountain do not have Lyme disease. Is that correct?
That's what I understand. That's what he relayed. But
Our vet said it was highly unlikely, but still to be bitten by a tick like this, there's bacterial and viral infections that they carry.
Yeah.
It's just...
And it becomes an open wound, really, when you...
Well, when we took it off our dog this afternoon, there was quite a lot of bleeding, and that was even removing the head intact and doing the best we could. And
Well, it's almost like a half-inch long.
the one we took off her 2 days ago was almost 3/4 of an inch long.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Be careful. Wear long pants when you go walk on the trails and check yourself.
Good reminder.
Good reminder.
I wanted, if possible, did you have anything you wanted to talk with to the commission? Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to add...
No, not anymore. I just wanted to
You've got the gavel.
I know.
So this is officially delivered to the new chairperson here.
I thought this was your last opportunity to bang.
No, you already got nominated, so you're the chairperson, so you have to make announcement for adjournment now.
All right, so I guess then we are going to adjourn to...
Oh, I wanted to add one thing.
Okay.
Sorry. So regarding the fire, so the neighbor, the fire happened this afternoon. I believe it was, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there was a small explosion below the kitchen sink. It could have been chemical, it could have been gas, I'm not sure, but it's a good reminder for everyone to check the chemicals that they have in their house if that was the case. But on a more positive note, I wanted to give a hats off to the Brisbane Police Department for getting there very quickly, and the fire department soon followed, and I'm not sure exactly how many city fire departments showed up, but I wanted to thank all of the surrounding fire departments, at least, because there was at least 2 or 3 deep on either side of the house. So we had the San Bruno Fire Department, Daly City, South San Francisco, Brisbane, and the other ones I couldn't see because there were so many fire trucks.
I heard 14.
Yeah, there were. Yeah. And so and they all came together, and it was a great effort. I just wanted to thank all of those folks for helping out.
Was the house completely burned down?
No, just the bottom level was about 3/4 of it was burned. No one was hurt, no animals, no humans were hurt, and lots of smoke damage, of course, on the top level, but they were able to contain it, and but yeah, please check your chemicals and anything else you think that might cause a fire or explosion like that, and also check your smoke detectors.
So check the ticks.
All right.
Anyhow.
Any other comments?
No.
Okay. So now I'd like to adjourn the regular meeting, adjournment to the regular meeting of April 25th, 2013.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Do I have to hit this?
So this is